Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to this masterclass. Let's talk about sex, sex, and I only put those dots in because sometimes on social media it can block things if they're not there. But there's no hiding behind the word. It's a full reclamation of that word with everything it means at a physical, energetic, spiritual level, and all the things. And in this masterclass, I really want us to dive into the juices that come with the liberation of our creativity, sensuality, magnetism, and fortune. Amanda's here live with me. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much to everyone that is on the replay. I'm so excited that you're here, and I'm really excited to dive into this topic that there is just like so much juice and so much magic in. And working with creativity and sensuality and liberation and all of these things has been part of my work for the last 2 or 3 years. The last 2 years, like at a really potent level. And the gene keys, when I started to really dive into the gene keys, it just brought so much more depth and potency and focus in certain areas, and in terms of our personal encoding in relation to all of those topics that I already love so much. So a little introduction to who I am, because I saw that there are a lot of you that I have never met before. However, I just said for this masterclass, my name is Rachel White, like you would have seen already. I am a coach, author, speaker, Gene Keys guide, and I really love to work with women to expand their experience and to expand the capacity for their liberation and personal revolution when it comes to their creative expression, their creative power, and making the life of art that they truly are here to make in devotional service to their higher self, to life itself as well. And in the process, feeling all the ways that they want to feel and feeling really grounded in who they are while exploring the full depth of who they are as well. And that's all I'm going to really give like as an introduction to who I am. But if this is the first exposure you've ever had to me, I would love for you to come and hang out with me on Instagram at by Rachel White. You can learn a lot more about me there and slide into my DMs anytime, and I would love to have a little chat with you as well. Before we go any further, I just wanted to offer a small trigger warning, because some of the things we're going to explore around sexuality can be triggers for us, pressing on our sexual wounding, any trauma that we may have experienced, and the sacred wound that we all innately carry, which I'll expand more as we go. And so if any of this trauma for you is like right at the surface, or things that you know you are actively healing right now, then I want you to take everything I share at a symbolic level or at an energetic level and receive it to the capacity that you can right now, and hold yourself in gentleness and grace. And if there's anything that I talk about that kind of really touches on a trigger point, reach out for the support you need. And you can reach out to me if anything at all comes up for you. But I want you to know that you're so safe in this space, and take what you need and just leave what doesn't resonate for you. I want to give just a tiny introduction to what the gene keys are, if this is the first time that some of you are hearing about it, because even though all of this, like if you've never heard anything about the gene keys, you will still relate to a lot of what I'm saying. But the gene keys gives us this backdrop to a lot of what I'll be sharing. In a short summary, the gene keys make up the 64 story codes of human evolution, the 64 story codes of our humanity and love and all the things that we experience as human. And we have active gene keys within our own profile, which gives us the map to our internal world, which is an imprint from the time that we were born, like a cosmic imprint from the time that we were born, that is mirrored in our DNA. And that is our active profile has at the moment up to 11 gene keys, and all 64 of the gene keys gives this cosmic backdrop to all of the stories and all of the evolution and all of the journeys that are happening across all of humanity. So we have a touch point with all of the gene keys, regardless of which ones are in our profile or not, but the ones active in our profile give us this like extra potency and like extra potent messages and guidance towards our own evolution and our own expansion. And what we're going to talk about today, our own like sexuality and liberation. And when it comes to like this liberation of your creativity, sensuality, magnetism, fortune, like all those really beautiful words that I chose when shaping this event and when promoting it as well, I really invite you to take a little moment to reflect on your relationship with what those words bring up for you. Are there certain feelings or connotations? Is it like, does it feel like really like juicy and sensual and potent in your body? Or maybe there's a little repulsion or resistance, or like you don't feel sensual or you don't feel creative, or maybe you feel wildly creative and magnetic. I want you to just take a little moment to really sit with that and feel into that and feel into those little places that are like these little triggering points that are actually invitations into a portal of expansion to expand into these areas. And we're going to talk a lot about what those invitations may be according to your personal coding that is in your profile. And if you don't have your Gene Keys profile yet, just go to genekeys.com and you'll see like in their menu bar, there's a free profile option. And if you enter your birth details, you'll get your free profile. And a few things I'm going to talk about a little later, like will make more sense when you see your profile. Everything in the world is rooted in sex. And sex can be seen as such this like taboo topic that, you know, we're not meant to discuss at dinner tables. It's like shush. And it's like, you know, we protect certain people, mainly children in the world, like from these topics of sex. But sex is really rooted in everything within the world, because when we look at sex at a like quantum energetic spiritual level, everything in the world is penetrating everything else in the world at a quantum level. And I really invite you like to think of this at a symbolic energetic level, because of course if we think about at a physical level, like everything is having sex with everything, it can seem a little like, oh, like that feels a little invasive. But when we look at it symbolically, like all of life is interconnected and all life is penetrating all of life all at once, like within the quantum field at this quantum level. Sex symbolically is happening all the time, like energies are merging, the duality creates new life. And when it comes down like into the 3D world, that manifests as, you know, physical sex creating babies, creating new life. And it's really fun to play with that within different realms of energy and at different levels. And so when I talk about sex throughout this masterclass, I'm talking about like sex being whenever two auras are interacting at a quantum level, which happens across all of our relationships and most of our interactions. And of course, there are subtle layers of energy. So of course, at our physical layer, like the most dense layer of our being, we have full like autonomy over what we allow to penetrate us. Over like more subtle layers of bodies, like we have control or influence like to an extent when it comes to the like the subtle bodies closest to our physical body, but at our highest body and at the quantum level, everything is just penetrating everything automatically and naturally, and it's not an invasive thing at all, like at that level. And like we are flowing and others are flowing, merging, penetrating all at once. So I really invite you to take this symbolically, energetically, not literally or physically. And in this merging of two auric fields at this quantum level, that is like the merging of creative fields, which creates in intimate relationships, it creates like this third aura that becomes this powerful creative force of love in the world, which is really cool as well. And when it comes to our auric field, which is like our subtle body that is closest to our 3D physical body, this is where in the auric field is where our emotions and desires live, the energetic currents of our emotions and of our desires. And these emotions and desires are playing with the auric field and like the currents of emotion and desires of other people, of everyone that we come into contact with and everyone that we form relationship with. And these emotions and these desire currents either create a sense of attraction or repulsion for everyone that we come across. And you might know that, like, you might meet someone and just feel this like instant attraction to them. And this can be like romantically, platonically, in all relationship capacities. And that attraction, you feel like that desire to get to know them more or to spend more time with them, like that is your attractive field, the desires and emotions in your attractive field matching their desires and emotions in their attractive field. And the other way, sometimes we meet people for the very first time, we know nothing about them, and we just feel like this ick, we feel this repulsion. And that's because like their desires and emotions within their attractive field are just like opposed to ours, and there's like they're repulsed by each other. So they do not match. And sometimes that can be a one way, like we're repulsed by someone but they're attracted to us, or we're attracted and they're repulsed by us. But it's this dynamic within our auric fields, like the merging and the sexual energy of two people or multiple people, that creates this feeling of attraction or repulsion. And all of this is governed by the sphere of attraction within our Gene Keys profile. So if you look at your profile, if you look at the bottom of your profile, there's a sphere of purpose, and then there's a line, the pathway of Dharma, which moves up to the sphere of attraction. So it's the second red sphere is your sphere of attraction. And you can look at, I'm going to talk about all of the line numbers that you may have in this sphere. So you'll have a number, a decimal point, and then another number. The number after the decimal point is your line number, which is from 1 to 6, which I'm going to talk about all of those 6 lines. And then the first number is your Gene Keys number, which I'm going to talk about the 42nd Gene Key for Amanda because she's here. And for anyone watching the replay, I invite you to explore that Gene Key. And if you want to do an exploration with me, you can reach out and we can talk about that. But I invite you to explore it with everything I'm about to say in mind. So this sphere of attraction is the holy ground of our sexual wound. And we all carry a sexual wound within us that is born from our ancestral DNA. It is formed at conception. We don't have any control over what our sexual wound will be that we carry in. And there are different ways that wounding can be activated or amplified or triggered. But we are essentially born with this sexual wound, and it's a fractal line of the sacred wound that all of humanity is born with. It's like our collective slice of karma that we are here in the world to transcend. And through that transcendence, we activate and unlock more of our gifts or higher frequencies of our personal gifts and the sequences of our gifts. And this sphere of attraction is also the holy ground to our magnetism, to our creativity, to our sexual energy. And it governs our attractive field. In our attractive field is our auric field. Our attractive field, it's like this mystical, I don't know if that's a word, mystical, mysterious, magnetic force that is what draws relationships towards us according to our Dharma, which is our destined path in life, and according to our karma, which is our karma is here to allow us to transform. And the context of karma may be different within the gene keys than what you think of as karma. Like karma can come, yes, from our actions, but we also take on the karma of the collective within our gene keys journey and within our destined paths as well. So this attractor field, it's always like pulling things in that is going to serve us within our destined path and within the karma that we are holding within our body. And the attractor field, like the quality of the attractor field and what it's calling in, is dependent upon our frequency, the frequency of light that we are moving through our body. And when we are in a lower frequency, we are inhibiting the patterns of our shadow. And the shadow that you have within the gene key, that you have in the sphere of attraction, will give you insight into if you're in the shadow frequency for one, and how to move into the gift of your attractor field to refine those currents, to magnetize things that are truly going to be serving for you. The gene key that you have imprinted in your sphere of attraction is an imprint of the moon's position within the cosmos in relation to the position to where you were born in the world, while you were still in your mother's womb, about 88 days before you were born, or 88 degrees of the sun before you were born. And this is the place within your gene keys profile. Like a lot of to have your gene keys profile, your birth time does need to be fairly accurate. And a lot of the time, if it's only a little bit out, it won't make a huge difference to a lot of the things that you have within your gene keys profile. But because the moon is something that moves position a lot quicker than a lot of other planetary objects that imprints other areas of your profile, like this is the part of your profile where your birth time does need to be like very specifically accurate, and even a couple minutes out can actually change the gene key or the line number that you have here. So if your birth time is an estimate, or you're not like, and sometimes even, you know, for anyone that's like a little older, where birth times were just like written down on a piece of paper, or like not accurately recorded, and it's like, or like rounded to the nearest 5 or 10 minutes, sometimes, like even if we do have it recorded, it can be a few minutes off. So with this sphere of attraction, I want you, like the thing that you see on your profile, take it with a little grain of salt, and you can maybe play with, especially with the lines, like more so with the lines in the actual gene key, play with like the line before it or after it as well, and see what resonates more. And with the gene key, you may like to look at like what it might have been a few minutes earlier, a few minutes after, if there was a change, which it's not always the case, but this is the one place in the profile that is the most susceptible to completely change if your birth time is off. But the moon is such this powerful force in the world, and this cosmic imprint we have of the moon within our body is what sets the tone for the magnetism within our attractor field. And I love the moon. Like I won't dive into like all the magic of the moon, but the moon holds so much power in terms of how it like pulls our emotions. It controls the ocean, like the currents of the oceans and the waves of the ocean. Like the magnetic pull of the moon is such a powerful force on Earth, and that powerful magnetic force is reflected within our body, within our genes, within our DNA, governing our attractor field, like governing the magnetism that we have in our aura. And the frequency, like I mentioned before, can determine how our magnetic pull may be distorted, or how it actually, like the thing is that the magnetic pull is strong as fuck, like no matter what frequency we're in, but the frequency we're in determines like what we are pulling in. So we're always magnetizing something, but when we're in our shadow or lower frequencies, we can be really like calling in things that are a reflection of the karma we want to transcend, as opposed to when we are in our gifts, we call in the relationships that will assist us transcend our karma, as opposed to keeping it in place and repeating the patterns. And I'll talk more about that in a moment as well. The other amazing thing about our aura or our magnetic attractor field is that this is a deep portal into our emotional realm. And I mentioned before that within our auric field, like the currents of our emotions are dancing. I like to imagine them as like dancing around, but they're really just like flowing and playing within that. Like our emotions come to life within our auric field, within our emotional bodies as well. So feeling into our attractor field and playing with the gene key and the line number that we have here can really be this beautiful portal into the deeper depths of our emotional realm. And our attractor field is always rippling out into the cosmos. Like it's rippling out, like trying to find the currents that match ours to call those people into our life. And it's also like people that we have existing relationships with, or we have more like intimate interactions with, even if there isn't kind of like a relationship per se, it has such a strong connection to that. And it's like searching within their field to find that connection, to find that attraction or that repulsion point. And it's just so amazing. And I think so often we place so much mental pressure on, I need to find my people, whether this is like, in business, it comes up a lot. Like, where do I find my people? Where are my people? How do I get my people like to buy from me? And that can be the same in romantic relationships as well. Like, how do I find my person, my lover, or even in friendships, like relationships across all realms of life. But it's so beautiful to rest and surrender to the truth that our attractor field and all the emotional and desire currents within our attractor field are out working for us, are out finding these people for us. And the more we refine these currents, which is governed like by the sexual energy that we experience in our body, as well as our emotions and desires, like the more refined this energy, the more refined the search, and the more magnetic we become to the people that are truly going to serve our like emotional needs and higher devotional service points in life as well. So beautiful to think about that, and I really invite you to surrender into that. So when it comes to our auric field and the people that we do form relationships with, it's the chemistry toward, like the actual chemistry towards two people who form a relationship creates this interactive energy field. So we have an aura, the other person has an aura, and through our relationship, a third interactive aura, an interactive field of energy is created. And in that interactive field of energy, like love is amplified, creativity is amplified, sexual energy is transcended to its pure life force energy. And that gives like a boost to us and to the other person. And it's in our relationships, like our relationships are the most fulfilling part of a human life. And sometimes if we're suppressing our sexual energy, we can mentally deny that truth, that it is our relationships that bring us fulfillment. And we try mentally to find fulfillment in other things like our work, our solitude, whatever else it may be. But it is our human nature to want to be in relationship with other people and to create these third interactive auric fields that are a source of love and pure creativity and pure life force energy into the world. And that can only happen at the symbolic level of sex, of the merging of two auric fields together in a pure and intimate way. And of course, this can happen at the shadow level as well, where that third auric field is actually something that is a real destructive force in the world. And creative energy can at a shadow is very destructive, whereas destructive creative energy destroys and pure creative energy rebuilds. And there is that cycle needed to an extent, but in the shadow form there is no rebuilding, there is only destruction. Our desires that are in our auric field are always connecting to the desires that are in others' auric fields. And these are our subconscious desires, like not necessarily the desires that we tell ourselves that we have, but our true desires. And that is why sometimes there can be this like mental disconnect between like what we think we want and what we're attracting based on what we actually want. And this does require like vulnerable honesty with ourselves in terms of what it is that we truly desire in life and what it is that we truly want. And when we mentally get on board with that, then we notice this more like harmonic relationship between what we say we want and what we are attracting in our life as well. And we attract people within all realms of life, like I mentioned before, like romantic relationships, platonic friendships, business relationships, whether like clients or peers. There are like family relationships as well. There are so many different types of relationships we can have. And when we really work on or like play with refining our sexual energy, we begin to create these more like wholesome relationships where we create relationships with the whole of another person as opposed to the part of them that we want something from. And in like business, just as an example, sometimes we can get so in our mind about wanting clients that we see other people as either you're a potential client and I'm gonna, talk to you about things you can buy from me, or you're not, and I'm just gonna ignore you until maybe I think you're a potential client. And it's really seeing like treating people like that creates kind of like this repulsing desire within your magnetic field. Whereas if we are focused on building relationship and connection with whole people, it's a completely different experience with what we are communicating through our attractor field and what they receive and hear and feel from our attractor field as well. And these things can all be really playing out at a subconscious level. And we don't necessarily need to mentally know all of those details. But when we look at playing with the shadow and the gift, we just naturally start to move into a higher refinement of the higher frequencies and the frequencies that will attract the things that are truly beneficial for us to have in our life. And when we are like in our highest magnetism, it's so like I reflect on this so often about all the really beautiful and amazing people that I have in my life and all these little things that had to happen for us to get to a place where we cross paths and for us to have the relationships that we do now. Like it's so amazing to look back and to just play with looking forward, that it's like, how am I going to meet my next people in my life? And I just play with surrendering to miracles and being completely open. And when we are in this state of divine synchronicity with our auric field and in our gift frequency, it brings us into this state of being in like nature's synchronicity, where things happen that we couldn't possibly ever predict, we couldn't ever possibly plan, but it's all part of this beautiful divine timing and this beautiful divine cosmic construct that brings us into our highest purpose and highest service and highest desires and all of those things. So something I want to mention as well is, so I've been talking about the sphere of attraction, and the sphere of attraction is within the Venus sequence, which is the red spheres within your profile. And this is the second sequence within like the linear sequence of the golden path of the gene keys. And before that, you have the activation sequence, which is the 4 green spheres. And the activation sequence makes up like 70% of your imprint. It's your physical grounding into stability. And it's really important to have that grounding before you go into the emotional depths of the Venus sequence, which doesn't necessarily mean you need to go through the activation sequence, but it is important to have a physical grounding regardless before you go into these like deeper depths within yourself. So the sphere within the activation sequence that sets the tone for your experience with the sphere of attraction in the Venus sequence is the sphere of radiance, which is the one on the far left-hand side of your profile. And this sphere of radiance is it sets the tone for the stability of your aura and the energy that moves through your body. It's your like the light of your life force, the level of consciousness, the quality of consciousness that you have in your body. And really looking into this sphere of radiance can give you this like really beautiful, like the whole activation sequence, but the sphere of radiance specifically can really give you a grounding in the core energy of your aura and what allows you to feel grounded and healthy and radiant and vital in your body before you dive into these like deeper emotional aspects within the sphere of attraction and the Venus sequence as a whole. So I just wanted to mention that for anyone that is maybe newer to the Gene Keys that hasn't explored the activation sequence, I really do invite you to explore that first before going into the more emotional parts. Okay. So in the sphere of attraction is where you will meet your sexual wound. And the sexual wound is the fractal of the sacred wound, which is something we inherit at conception through our ancestral DNA. And this is like our slice of the sacred wound, our slice of the sacred wound that is created through separation that we carry in our life that allows us to enter into portals that gives us access to higher frequencies and higher experiences of our gifts and of all the beautiful gifts we bring into the world to elevate the creativity, freedom, and love in the world and to drive the evolution of the world to our human potential and to our human capacity. And this when it comes to the sexual wound, like sexual wounding and sexual shame can really contribute to the perpetuation of the shadow that we have imprinted here within our sphere of attraction. And there are so many, like we are born with the sacred wound, which sets the tone for our sexual wound that we are born with. But there's also a lot of conditioning and programming and so many things in the world that can just create many layers and weave in all of these like entangled aspects when it comes to the sexual wounding that we feel in our life. And within this sexual wound, it's like our chemistry, our DNA, like what is happening within our body really governs everything that is happening here. So I want you just to know that there's nothing you did to have this wounding, to have this pain, to have this suffering within your body. It's part of your divine imprint. It's part of what you are here to transcend and to heal into the world, to release your life force energy that is naturally serving to the world and can ripple into so many other ways for you to serve and heal the world as well. And when it comes to physical sex, like within our human bodies, this is where our lower frequencies can become entangled with other people's auric fields. And I spoke before about how like that interactive third aura can happen. But when we are in our lower frequencies, our lower frequencies can get entangled with other people's lower frequencies, which can create even more destructive patterns. And we can start to take on parts of the sacred wound that weren't actually ours to carry. And we take on the responsibility of that was actually the sacred responsibility of other people. And ultimately, through our dharma and our karma, this will get sorted out, but there is space for us to have influence over the timing and over the storyline of how we eventually get to the part of healing and transcending our karma. Our sacred wound, that we are born with can really become exposed through our relationships and through our sexuality. It is, how we act and respond and react and feel triggered in relationships are very beautiful mirrors and portals that offer us the opportunity to reflect on our sacred wound and on our own suffering and on our own shadows. And this comes up the most in our most intimate relationships and in our sexual relationships as well. And our relationship with our sexuality can really reveal a lot to us about the pain that we are carrying and the nature of the sacred wound that we hold. And your gene key that you have in this sphere of attraction can offer you the words that really activate this inner knowing within yourself as well, to unlock the gift that helps you to transcend the wounding, transcend the shadow, and to be in the higher frequency of your gift. And this is where, exploring this sphere of attraction is really about this cleansing of your sexual energy and this clearing out of the attractor field. This is a process that is like this beautiful flowing process where it's about both being soft and flowing and about being strong, about being vulnerable, and also being grounded in your own energy as well. And often we can either suppress and numb out our sexuality because the pain is too much for our body to bear, and that is okay if that has been your past story, or if at any point you feel you need to do that. There are moments where it is beneficial for our health in many ways to numb out for things that we are not ready to process. But if you feel a calling to process, like, this is your invitation to feel into, are you ready to be vulnerable with this and also to be strong with this? And we can also be reactive to this pain as well, with like projection into the world and over sexualizing ourselves and things like that. But it is your sexual energy. Your sexual energy is your creative energy, which is your life force energy. You are innately a sexual being, and denying that truth, that you are innately a sexual being, is denying a part of yourself. And denying a part of yourself is what dilutes the potency of your true essence and the highest expression of your gifts into the world. And this really ripples out into your relationships, your work, your play, all realms of life. So coming back to the sphere of attraction, the shadow that you have here, so the gene key that you have here, the shadow of this gene key really guides you to look at how your sexuality, how you look at your sexuality, and how your sexuality makes you feel vulnerable to the point of wanting to hide or suppress it or numb out, or it can be a more reactive state as well. And this shadow will likely cause a lot of disturbances between you and other people. So look for this shadow within your relationships, especially your most intimate relationships. And your gift here in the attractor field is what amplifies the magnetism and refines the currents of your attractor field. And this gift is what guides you back to a place of innocence, the pure innocence within your sexuality, the pure life force energy that wants to create in the world. That is your pure sexuality. And it creates these beautiful shifts within your attractor field to magnetize the relationships and people that will only help you refine more and to express your gifts and your purpose into the world. And then the city that you have here is what offers the fuel for a divine spiritual transformation that comes with a sexual awakening that can take many forms as well. And this is where your attractor field opens to the highest level, and you draw in the most refined frequencies to match the frequency of your highest self as you're approaching that citic state and channeling that citic divine fuel within your body as well. Okay, so now I'm going to go through the 6 lines of sexuality, which are the 6 lines within the sphere of attraction. And all of these lines within the sphere of attraction have keynotes that we can relate to being physically sexual, but I want you to take them all at a symbolic level. Like, how do these words symbolically play out within all realms of your life, particularly within your relationships within each realm of your life? And like I mentioned before, if your birth time isn't completely accurate, you may actually be like the line before or after. So play with that as well. Like, if the line that you have in your profile doesn't quite resonate, it could be because you're denying a true part of yourself, but it could also be because you actually have another line truly imprinted within your DNA. But also we all have touch points to all of the lines and to all of the gene keys, because all of them are constantly playing out within the collective, and we may clearly see them reflected in others. We may take on the energy of others, and we can all have experiences in all different things intuitively that are not necessarily imprinted within us, because we create these biofeedback loops within the environment that we are in. Okay, so line 1 is about, the shadow is this feeling of being sterile, and the gift is about fertility. And when it comes to like the sterility, or like being sterile in the shadow frequency, it's about like this feeling of emptiness. And it's about like the feeling of emptiness is about having empty experiences in all realms of life, and really just naturally blocking life force. And when the life force is blocked, like it's sterile ground, nothing creative can come of it. Experiences become very devoid of any meaning, which can leave us feeling very empty. And in this shadow of the line 1, like the attractive field just closes down so that nothing new can be created. And this is, like the lowest frequency of the shadow. And we can, I'll talk about the gift in a second, but there can be like layers and everything to our experiences with the shadows and gifts. So it's not necessarily that you're either the shadow or you are the gift. There can be definitely like space between. So I would say like no human is ever 100% sterile, but it's like that's the way that you are moving towards when you are in that shadow frequency. And then the gift is fertility, being fertile. And fertility leads to babies, creations, connection, love. And this ultimately leads to this feeling of wholesome. Like in fertility, the line 1 really seeks to feel wholesome. And in wholesome experiences is where you experience the real depth, like the real depth within your relationships with other people. And you personally become this beautiful hub of creative forces where other people just want to come and create with you. And in that sense, your relationships become really wholesome, where you see other people as the whole people that they are, and you create with many different people in many ways, but they come to you like you're the hub. You are the fertile ground that other people plant their seeds in to grow. Such a beautiful line 1 that like sets the foundation. And then we have the line 2. And so the line 2 shadow is about lust. And lust is always rooted in inadequacy. And that feeling of inadequacy drives the fear-based lust, because it's like this feeling of I'm not enough. So I need another person to come and make me feel enough. And it's this primal lust is really beautiful and sacred, which you'll see like within the gift, but in the shadow it's like entangled with fear, and sex is almost like used to escape your own depth because of that feeling of inadequacy. Like it's that fear of actually diving into the inadequacy to see what is actually there. That lustful sex is used like as that escape from your own depth. The gift here is passion. And passion is lust with an open heart, like that pure sexuality, that like tantra, that desire derived from the heart, pure primal lust. And line 2s in their gift live a very highly passionate life. And it is your passion that attracts other people towards you to play with, to be expressive with. And line 2s are very like flowing and expressive, and it's like your passion, like I imagine like a passionate salsa dance. It's like you're helping other people move with your passion. And then we have a line 3, and the line 3 in their shadow is very like promiscuous, and they like their promiscuity leads to a very melodramatic life. They love to just create drama and then bounce. Like it's like the soap opera life where you create these new relationships like you just create new relationship after new relationship, like create the drama for the love of the drama, and then leave everyone else to deal with the drama while you're kind of like sitting back with your popcorn or onto your next relationship and drama that you want to create. Like very like melodramatic. And like within that though is the gift of the playfulness and the adventure that you bring into the world. And but in the gift frequency, it's like innocently being playful, and there may still like be the adventure that may seem like a drama, but there isn't like this attachment to it, and there's this refreshing sense of humor that is brought to the drama of life. So these line threes are naturally like very warm and playful and invite people into their own playfulness and into the adventure, and that's what really attracts people into you, like your just natural warmth and your humor and your playfulness. And then we have the line four, and at the shadow, it's like this frigid energy. At the gift, it's this like romantic energy. In the shadow, this like frigidity leads to distance between yourself and others. And in the shadow, line fours just like freeze people out. They want to really conceal their own wounding and just pretend that they are fine. So line fours will often be the people to stay in relationships, but as soon as they like feel vulnerable, they just freeze other people out and pretend they're fine, say that they are fine, and become very like frigid in their life force energy. They stop expressing and creating and just like move through the motions of life, because like it's like this terror that shuts them down, and consequently like everything that they attract through their attractor field are things that just increase the terror. So it's like they fulfill their own prophecy, but they freeze people out and just pretend that they are fine. So when it comes to the gift of a line four, like the line four gift really lies in their capacity to self-parent themselves, to be the parent for themselves that they wish they had, to actually have grounded and stable emotions and intimate relationships with other people. And these line fours really need to like romance themselves back to life, with which begins with taking responsibility for themselves and taking responsibility for the intimacy that they have with other people, and being very like gentle and creative in the way that they romance themselves and self-parent themselves really leads to this really beautiful gift that the line four has here of creating such deep intimacy with other people, and that warmth and gentleness and compassion and intimacy that they hold with others really does attract such beautiful like romantic on all level relationships within their life. And then we have the line five, which is my line, if anyone is wondering. So here at the shadow is entrapment, and this expression of entrapment at the shadow can become very manipulative, and the sexual power of the line five is used for power, for control, to really entrap other people like into their own web. And it does take a lot of energy for a line five especially to be vulnerable within their sexual energy. And the line five within their shadow really becomes a victim of their own low self-esteem. And through that, they create this really powerful false mental projection on the way that they see their lives. And that false mental projection creates this image of how they think other people see them, how they think other people are attracted to them, all things in life related to attraction across all realms. And it can take a lot for them to be vulnerable to really break down that mental construct that they have formed. But then when they do, they move into this gift of sensuality and becoming very masterful in the things that they do in their life. And the line fives are the great like sexual teachers and healers that just exude this sense of sensuality in everything that they do in life. And this is where, you know, their sensual heart has a very alluring presence that really naturally opens the heart of other people, especially the people that come to them for their like masterful energy. And that can be like business wise, but also in a lot of other areas of life as well. And then finally, we arrive at the line 6. And the shadow of the line 6 is really this like disappointment that leads to this resigned energy. The line 6 within the sphere of attraction is really always looking for perfection, usually from a very early age. So often early in life, they enter into this state of disappointment. The line 6s are very likely to be someone that falls deeply and madly in love with someone, like as soon as they know, as soon as they feel like sexual attraction in their body, as soon as they know what love is, they're very likely to like naively fall deeply in love with someone and ultimately like get their heart broken, whether it's, you know, reciprocated for a while or it's like unrequited love. They will get their heart broken. And if they stay in their shadow frequency, they can stay in this state of like resigned disappointment and heartbreak for their entire lives. And this is because like the line 6 carries the weight of the vision that they can very clearly see from a very early age. And usually like the vision of the line 6, especially when they're younger, you know, they can become very conditioned by other people to stop believing in their dream and their vision, to start believing that it's unrealistic because other people tell them that it is. So the 6th line really does need to cultivate surrender and patience, to know that they will likely spend like the first half of their life attracting in like knowledge and resources and relationships for their vision to come into fruition in like the second half, and like not necessarily the second half, but usually a lot later in life. So the gift here is innocence. Like the gift in their attractor field is innocence that leads to this ecstatic feeling of life. Like for the line 6 to get out of the shadow of disappointment, they really need to wake up to see value and to see ecstasy and perfection in every step of the process towards their big vision, to hold the vision, but to see the beauty in every step of the way, and to know that like they are that sacred vision holder for all of humanity. And most people in their life will not see the same vision as they do until they actually bring it to life. So like line 6s have a really exciting journey. But like I said before, like we all have connection to all of the 6 lines. So I really invite you to play with like all of them and see what resonates from each of them and see what resonates the most strongly, and then look at what line you have in your profile. Don't think that you need to put yourself in a box of just being one thing, because that's what your profile says. Like your profile is just the map, but sometimes we can, you know, deviate from the map and take little tangents to experience things that are more capture our more human essence and our experiences that we have actually had. So we have gone through like all of this is for your liberation, for the reclamation of your sexual nature that is innately who you are, for your life force, for your creativity. And this is really just a gentle beginning, a gentle invitation into playing with your sexuality. And a gentle beginning into that can be to start with sensuality, start with just feeling in your body and in the senses that you feel in your body. And when you practice this with an open heart in your relationships, in your interaction, and also in your relationship with yourself, you open up so much, you unlock so much of your gifts, higher frequencies of your gift. You create so much more magnetism within your attractive field that will fulfill your dharma and karma. And it's just such a much more enjoyable experience of life. Like we may not control all aspects of our destiny, but we get a say over how we present ourselves and how we experience the story for ourselves, and the script of the story is like what we get a say in as well. So practice playing with your gifts, practice embodying the city, and bring a gentle contemplation to the shadows, like be aware of your shadows, but bring most of your focus to your gift and city to have that like pulling energy to raise you up instead of fixating on the things that keep you in that distorted shadow expression. And, you know, hold yourself to the standard of your gifts and cities, and know that it is gentle contemplation that leads to these miraculous breakthroughs within your body. Like the DNA within your body literally mutates with contemplation to your gene keys, which is magical and amazing. So we're going to actually, I'll talk about the 42nd gene key now for Amanda. So the 42nd gene key has the shadow of expectation, the gift of detachment, and the city of celebration. So I'm not even going to talk about the shadow for this. I really Amanda and anyone else listening that happens to have the 42nd as well in this fear of attraction, but also if you have it anywhere else in your profile. So this city of celebration is really about enjoying, celebrating, and seeing what is there to celebrate within all of life. Sometimes, and especially when we're in the shadow of expectation, we get so fixated on the new beginning or the ending for something that we want. And that makes us become completely lost and disappointed in the middle. This city of celebration is inviting us into the celebration of the middle in every moment of life, in our full life, celebrating every single thing that life presents to us. And this city of celebration, it's said to really be the city, the divine energy that just sees the punchline at the end of our life, that there is no real purpose to life, or the real purpose to life is, you know, is like a joke that we'll never actually understand until we get there. And it's the pressure of not understanding the joke or not understanding the reason that can take us into that shadow of expectation. So when we start to play with this gift of detachment, of, you know, of what, so when we are attached, it really narrows our view because we're only looking at what we want, like the expectation. When we are detached, we just widen our view. And in that widened view, we see more to celebrate. We also see more options. And it is through our detachment, like holding loosely to our expectations and plans, it's through our attachment that we actually get to live fully in the present moment and to celebrate the moment we're in by living in full honor and reverence to that moment. So when it comes to having this gene key in your attractor field, it's like your capacity to be present, detached, and in celebration of life that will just naturally magnetize other people to you, because everyone wants to get into the party. Everyone wants to get into that celebration. And it is your energy that holds the space for other people to do that with you. Excuse me. And Amanda, I'm just going to check what line you had. So you had the line 2. Okay, so amazing. So combining your passion, like your passion for life, with the celebration, like, oh my God, chills just thinking about that. So consider how your like passionate, expressive, like primal, lustful energy can really merge like with this celebration of honoring every moment of life, and how you can be in that. And just you experiencing that is what will magnetize the attraction of other people to you. But this is something that can't be planned. It's not like I'm going to throw a party and then all these people will come and be attracted. Like, just let it play out and celebrate every single moment of connection, of celebration, of art, and all of that in your life. And that will be just so healing, like to your sexual energy, to your attractor field, and to your creativity. And through your magnetism, like everything that is meant for you and aligned for you will come to you. And this is, you know, there is space for spaciousness and surrender in this process, to really ground into celebrating what is and really detaching from any expectations on what you're trying to force into existence. So it's just a little tiny dive into that sphere, Amanda, and for anyone else that may have had that coding on their profile as well. So we're going to end with a really, really beautiful meditation. But before that, I just want to mention a couple of ways that you can work with me if you really wanted to take a more intimate deep dive into this work and into all the things that we have been talking about. Oh my gosh, excuse me. When I start to like have a thing stuck in my throat, it's like the end of my channeling. We're always there. But okay. So the two ways you can work with me in a very like intimate way that really connects you more deeper in with your personal coding, your depth, your creativity, your life force, all of these really magical things is one, through my Gene Keys deep dives. I absolutely love and am obsessed with the Gene Keys transmission in its entirety. And I absolutely love doing Gene Keys deep dives with people. They are so amazing and just such a beautiful way for you to explore the imprinted depth that you have within yourself. And it is a journey of activating your own divine and sacred wisdom. So I do recommend starting with the activation sequence if you are completely new to the Gene Keys. The sphere of attraction that we have went through is in the Venus sequence. And I also have an option if you want to explore the whole profile, so all 11 spheres. We can do that over a 1-month intensive deep dive. And the investment for that ranges from, so the activation sequence is 333 Australian dollars. And to do or your whole profile is 1,400 Australian dollars as well. And there's some other options in there. So everything's within that investment range for all my Gene Keys deep dives. And then if you want the most intimate, in-depth experience with me, I invite you to explore my private coaching container, which I'm renaming at the moment to be like rare. Rare is the word that I'm going to incorporate into that for you to really embody like the rare piece of art, like the rare jewel that you are into the world. And so my private coaching is a 4-month private coaching container. It is the highest depth, intimacy, proximity that you can have with me. And in this 4 months, we really journey through these pillars of the revival of your creative energy, sensuality, and full depth, the revolution of your life, the liberation and revolution into how you really want to live your life and how you're designed to be living your life. We move through your personal revelations, like access points to your sacred wisdom, to your rapture, the feeling of intense pleasure and joy to be alive, and all in deep reverence for yourself, for life, for others, for the cosmos, and for all of that. And the Gene Keys are very deeply weaved into that entire 4 months. Like you will get a dive through every Gene Key that you have in your profile within those 4 months together, and they'll be weaved in however much you want them to be as well to all of our weekly calls. And this 4 months is really grounded in feminine embodiment, creativity, sensuality, expression, making art out of your life, and really being in high devotional service in a way that is aligned for you and designed for you. And when you get the email, you'll get a link for both of these things, but reach out to me if you feel that is for you. So for the rare coaching, for 4 months, it is 7,444 Australian dollars again, and they are payment plans. You can pay monthly or weekly or in whatever way you like for that. Okay, and reach out to me anytime if you want to ever talk about working together. I would love to connect with you more and love to dive in any way, and definitely follow me at by Rachel White on Instagram. I would love to connect with you more. If you've loved this masterclass, take a screenshot and take a picture and tag me. I would love for you to just share that you're here, or to share an insight that you've gained. I would love to see that, and just love to chat with you. Okay, so we're going to enter a meditation, and at the end of the meditation, I am going to just close the call. So you just take a moment to get comfortable. If you want to lay down, if you want to sit down, whatever feels good. The meditation will go for about 8 to 10 minutes, so it won't be too long. So when you're comfortable, I want you to just take in a deep breath, breathing in through the nose, and a gentle breath out through the nose. And just taking this little moment, deepening the breath to connect in with your body. Relax into this moment. Let any noise in the background become white noise. If you get distracted, come back to your breath. And now moving into the body, I want you to imagine a ball of glowing golden light at the base of your spine. And as you breathe in with your awareness, you move this golden light up your spine all the way to the crown of your head. Hold the inhale at the top for a moment. And then as you exhale, that golden light moves to the front of your body, going all the way down back to the base of your spine. And we're going to take 3 more breaths, breathing in to move the golden light up, holding for a moment, and exhaling to move the golden light down 2 more times with your own breath. And when you're ready, allow that golden light to land in your sacral chakra, which is just below your belly button, your lower abdomen, or in your womb space. Let the golden light fully land there, still emanating out through your entire body, still connected to all the points along your spine, but just staying in that sacral center. You just feel that golden light, how powerful it is. And let the image of the golden light fade away, but know that it is still there. It is still emanating. And now I want you to imagine the power of the moon within you. The power of the Earth's moon is within you, and you may imagine this sitting within your sacral chakra. When it comes to the Earth's moon, it is only ever illuminated by the light of the sun. So this moon that you're feeling and sensing inside of you, know that it is your inner light that is illuminating the moon here. And just take a moment to see your inner light being reflected onto the sun, being reflected onto the moon, illuminating the moon, and the sun of your inner light. And as this moon that is within you becomes fully illuminated, I want you to feel its magnetic pull within your auric field. The moon within you is a powerful magnet, and it's pulling in all the energy that you need to thrive in your life and to fulfill your devotional service, your highest prosperity, your greatest creative expression, your most beautiful, intimate relationships. It's calling all of that in right now. And there are people all around the world that are being attracted to you, that are being drawn in by your magnetic pull. You're magnetizing the most aligned relationships, opportunities, money, creative ideas, all else that is just for you. Don't get lost in the thoughts about what exactly these things are. I want you to feel them, sense them, and just sense that whatever the magnetic pull of your inner moon is calling in is right for you. It's part of your dharma, your karma. I want you to simply feel to be in this energy right now and know that you are so powerful and you are powerful enough to hold this energy of everything that is being called in. Feel your creative power, feel your life force, feel your sexual power. Feel all of these things penetrate your being. And allow yourself to receive. Allow yourself to be vulnerable, to receive what you can't expect or know right now. And allow yourself to be strong to know that whatever it is that you receive is for your highest purpose. Take in 3 more deep breaths. When you're ready, gently open your eyes, come back into the room, take in a deep breath, and know that you are so magnetic and creative. And your attractor field is effortlessly working for you all the time. And all you need to do is be in your gift. Keep refining your energy and allow yourself to receive.